Hi everybody, this is Barbie the Glitter Goblin. Today I'm going to talk to you about using stitched dies. In the first part of the video, I'm going to show you some methods for using these dies without stitching. So those of you who don't stitch, don't feel comfortable stitching, have no intention of learning how to stitch, the first part of the video is for you. And then in the last part, I'm going to come in with some of the actual stitching and threading and show you how I do that and talk to you about some of the kinds of threads that I use. All right, so first of all, the die that I'm using today is from the 2024 Spellbinders Stitchmas calendar. I think it's maybe part of the day 8 set. It is only a part of the set. It comes with 3 dies. Well, the whole set comes with several other dies. There are leaves and poinsettias and possibly a pine cone included. But the part that I'm going to use today is the stitch die, the background die, and the ornament topper. And we're just going to use these little ornaments. It's a quick and easy way for me to show you several methods. Now, these gold discs are causing a glare, so I'm going to move them out of the way for right now, and I'll bring them back in as I'm ready for each one. So the first thing that I want to show you is just gluing the stitch die with no stitching, just gluing it down to a metallic background, because what's going to happen is you're going to see that metallic shine through those little holes. And when this is on a Christmas tree with lights, or you can even turn it into a tiny magnet or something and stick on your refrigerator, this is going to look pretty fun. And what I'm going to do is I'm just gluing that down. I'm using my Barely Art glue. There are other types of glue, of course, that you can use, but I prefer the Barely Art because it dries fairly quickly. I am going to hide these top couple of holes with my ornament topper, and I am going to let that hang over. Now, if you didn't want that to hang over, you could glue it between the different layers. But I like that look where you can see the topper. Okay, so here you can see all that glimmer, all that shine through those holes, no sewing involved, and this is fine the way it is. So I'm going to set it up here at the top of my mat, and I'm going to set just my Big Shot platform on top of it just to kind of glue it a little bit flat. All right, so in my next method, what I'm going to do is you can see that there are etched lines here, and I am just going to take those lines with a gold gel pen and follow those lines and make it look like it's stitched. I am going to flip over to the back real quick and get my gold gel pen going. But then this is all I'm going to do. Now, I have to say, if you were using a die where the stitches were farther apart, like the 2023 Stitchmas calendar included this angel around day, oh gosh, it must have been towards the end, day 11 or 12. And the stitching on the angel's dress, the angel's gown, those holes are very, very far apart. And I myself would not be capable, I'm going to try to get this pen working a little better, would not be capable of drawing a straight line that long. So, what is happening with my pen? So I would use a ruler to do that, okay, if I were concerned about the straightness of my lines. But these shorter lines, my pen is kind of just getting in the groove, that little etched die groove that's already there. And I know that Spellbinders themselves have put out a video about doing this kind of thing. So this is nothing new under the sun. I'm just putting it together all in one video for you. Okay, so I've got my lines drawn in. And guys, notice I'm not connecting the circle lines. You could do that if you wanted to. There's no problem with that whatsoever. It's just I have done it and I don't like that look. It's not really round. It's kind of you know, one straight line to the next straight line to the next straight line, etc. All right, and here I'm gluing this back onto that gold shiny background. If I weren't trying to make a video and I weren't trying to make it short, I might have actually let that gold pen dry a little bit. I don't think I really smudged it, but I was afraid I was going to when I started pressing the two layers together. Okay, so here again, I've got that shiny bit of metallic paper in the background, and then I've got my shiny topper, and I've drawn in my shiny lines. And so from a little bit of a distance, you can't tell that that's not thread. Okay, so if this is hanging on a Christmas tree, or if it's a magnet, you know, on your refrigerator, or gosh, you know, you put a little glossy accents on this, or some, Diane Reevely clear diamond rocks over the top, something to give it a little bit of a resin coating, or even pour some resin on top. You could have a great large size earring there or necklace, and that would be a lot of fun. All right, again, putting just this under my platform to help it dry a little bit flat. All right, next look I'm gonna try is with diamond dots. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this together. And I'm going to go ahead and glue the top on and let it dry flat under the platform for just a minute or two while I talk to you about option number 4. And then we're going to come back to this. All right, so listen, here's what I've done. I've done the same thing here that I've done with all the others. Okay, I've glued that shiny background onto it, and I've added that gold topper. All right, and again, I'm just gonna let this dry for a minute and we'll get started. Now, more explanation real quick. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna drop a tiny dot of Barely Art glue because it's got that precision tip. I'm gonna drop a tiny dot of Barely Art glue onto each of those holes and add a diamond dot, okay? If you don't have diamond dots, you can use small gemstones. Now, I had a friend ask me the other day, because this particular die set has the stitched piece and it has that background piece. So you can do that. You can glue the two layers together and then you have the background to add the glue to. But she said, well, what about the dies that don't come with a background piece? Okay, I have 2 suggestions for you. All right, so if I were going to glue this onto a card, I maybe would glue it onto the card, and then I have the background of the card to put against the glue and add the diamond dots. But if I just wanted this hanging freely on a Christmas tree and I didn't have that background piece, what I could do is take a second cut and just slightly offset them. I would decide, do I want the pink on the top? Do I want the purple on the top? I'm going to go with the pink on the top for right now. And I am just slightly offsetting them. It gives it that look of having a little shadow. And it also at least partially seals off those holes. So now I have a little place to put my glue, okay? And you can see on this side and bottom edge, I've got just that little shadow of purple sticking out. You know, it makes it look a little more dimensional, as Diane would say. And I'm going to go ahead and pop my topper on. And I'm going to set this under the platform to dry. Okay, and I'm going to grab out the blue one so we can work with it while that is drying. And of course, I wanted to flatten that before I add the diamond dots on because the diamond dots have that dimension. All right, what I'm going to use right now is actual equipment from Diamond Dots. It's this little bitty plastic tray. I pour some dots. I am going to close my diamond dots. You don't have to, but I'm that klutz who I would reach for the glue and knock the whole bottle of dots over. So I'm going to close that. I've got this. It's got a little bit of wax in the tip, and that's what helps you pick up the diamond dots. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how you can use the same kind of effect with traditional scrapbooking equipment in just a minute. So hang on. I'm going to start here and just go a little bit around the outside. I don't want to do them all at once because I don't want the glue to dry and then not accept the dot. All right, listen, if you put your diamond dot down and it doesn't stick, it's because you didn't have quite enough glue. Just, you know, nudge it off and come back to it after you add a little bit more glue. Here you can see, if you're looking really carefully, some of the glue, because I used a little much, it's really hard to get the right balance with the diamond dot, y'all. But some of the glue, because I used a little much, is seeping around the outside. Barely Art does dry clear. So that's not going to be a problem in the ultimate design. All right, and look how quickly this is going. I am almost done already. And guys, you don't have to have the bottles of diamond dots like this. If you have diamond dots left over from some other project, they work just fine as well. And if you don't have enough of any one color, cut out your ornament in white and do multicolored diamond dots on it. It'll look like a string of colored lights on your tree, you know? And if you don't have diamond dots at all, I'm skipping that one for a second because I can see that it doesn't have enough glue. If you don't have diamond dots at all, you could also do this with those tiny, tiny gemstones. You know, a lot of gemstone sheets come with several sizes, and there's those teeny tiny ones that you sometimes are like, what do I do with this? If I put it on a big giant card, is it even going to show up? And then you guys, my mom used to do a lot with sequins. And so I have leftover sequins out the gazoo, and I am just going to use, I don't know if that'll work or not. Oh, it did. I'm just going to use one white sequins here in the middle, and the glue is seeping through that centerpiece. But again, I'm not worried about it. All right, so my debate here in my head is whether or not to add the dot to these two spots right here. And I think I'm going to, because the gold showing through there just bothered me. But you know what? When it dries, if I look back at it and I decide I don't like these two dots at the top, I will not put them at the top of any of the others. Okay, so this needs to dry and some of this gross glue needs to go away. But there is my ornament. And I could have also drawn in the stitching. I could have maybe drawn in every other stitch. I could have actually stitched it before I started gluing dots. But that is a cute look on that ornament. All right, setting that on the top of my platform. You know what? I'll set it underneath. It won't hurt it. And I'm going to pull this one out real quick. All right, so quickly cleaning up this mess because, again, I am that klutz. I would knock the table, knock the whole thing all over the place. It would be a disaster. All right, now I promised to show you how to use this with traditional equipment. If you have a funnel to use for embossing powder, you can use that for your diamond dots as well. I'm just going to pour some of these in here. And a gem picker. Just a gem picker will work. This is my Sizzix, I don't even know what this is called. Some kind of multi-tool. It's got the eraser on one end, the gem picker on the other end. And I'm just going to do the same thing very quickly. This is where I had the two pieces offset and no actual background piece. Okay. Oops, I didn't get that one on good. Can't get it upside right. Ah, well, that one is lost to the carpet. Okay, moving right along. As far as I know, diamond dots do not hurt your vacuum cleaner. I am sure. I have sucked up hundreds of them at this point. I've got a daughter and granddaughter who like diamond dotting, and the granddaughter is lovely, but a bit klutzy at times. And I know I came out one day after she'd been diamond dotting in the living room in the evening. I came out the next morning and there were dots everywhere. I tried to pick some of them up and put back in the bottle. I don't know if she knocked it over or if she left it open and one of the cats got it, or the dog, or what, but boy. So some of them got picked up and rescued, and some of them went to the vacuum cleaner. And that is just all there is to it. I am not a patient woman. All right. And this is the last one that we're going to do without actual thread and needle. So I'm going to get to the thread and needle here in a minute. And I see now this color is a little bit more red and a little less purple than I would have liked it. But my diamond dot storage is in a dark corner of the living room. And it really looked like it matched better when I was picking it out. But that's okay. We're just showing technique right now. If we don't like this tiny little ornament, well, it can get sucked up in the vacuum cleaner too. Just teasing. I'll find some way to save it. Put a little spritz on it. Tie it all together. Ooh. So, on the blue ornament, when I did that, I used the white diamond dots and I used the white sequins in the center. But your centerpiece doesn't always have to match your outside piece. So here I am just using this kind of goldy bronzy that matches the topper instead of the dots. But I like to have that bigger piece there in the center. Okay, so here's this one. Again, glue definitely needs to dry. We'll take a look at it again at the end, but that is kind of where we are with it for right now. All right, so in no time at all, we have made 4 ornaments and we are moving right along. I'm going to take the time real quick to put these back in the bottle and hopefully seal the bottle up before I have a chance to spill it. Okay, so thread. What kind of thread can you use? If you want to use one strand and be quick and dirty, and this does have a beautiful effect, so I don't mean quick and dirty in a bad way, but this Spellbinders Vivant cord that comes in gold, rose gold, and silver is beautiful. Get the color of your choice. And although I do think they're out of stock on gold right now, and just go for it. There's yards and yards and yards here. It's beautiful stuff. I have also used the DMC metallic threads, and those are fine, but you want to have a little bit of a wide eye on your needle if you're going to use those, because they do fray, and if you hit the side of your needle, then you're in trouble. You end up having to trim it off and all this other kind of stuff and try to get it back in, or use a needle threader or whatnot. I also have these variegated threads, and what I'm actually going to use today is this variegated thread, so I'll come back to it in a minute. And then this is probably my favorite because I do like things that are shiny and sparkly, and this is the DMC. And y'all, I did not take French in high school. I took Spanish, so I'm just going to guess on this pronunciation. But it's the Shimmering Etoile threads. It comes in, I think, 36 colors. And they feel more like regular embroidery floss, but they have that sparkle in it. So to me, it's the perfect combination. You get the feel of regular thread. It works like regular thread. It peels off and threads through a needle like regular thread, as opposed to that metallic stuff that tends to fray so much. But it does have the shine of the metallics. All right, so here Normally, I would have pre-threaded this and so you didn't have to watch me thread, but I do have people asking me all the time about this embroidery floss. All right, I'm going to use about from my fingertips to my elbows as my length. It's probably a little too long for this, but that's okay. I'm choosing this variegated thread because I cut out all gold backgrounds. All right, and when I put the gold with the yellow, I mean, you can see it. It still sparkles, but it just doesn't have a lot of variety, okay? So I wanted to add some color to it. All right, so one of the things people ask me is, these threads, these embroidery threads come with 6 strands. How do you separate them? Well, I will tell you this right now. If you take one and start just peeling it down, you're going to be a sad, sad, sad person. So what I always do, because it comes all bunched up like this, is I just take my fingertip and I tap on it, and that kind of separates the threads. All right, now I'm holding it about a centimeter and a half down, and I'm holding it between my thumb and my forefinger kind of loosely, and I'm just going to take one strand and pull. And it looks like a disaster. It looks like, oh my God, you're making the worst knot in the world. But look at that. It just came totally unknotted, and I have strand number 1 free. All right, next question. How many strands do you use? Again, it looks totally terrible and knotted, but boom, strand number 2 is free. I have done this with 2, and I like that look. But I have decided I think that I like it a little bit better with 3. And again, looks like this horrible knot, but boom, it comes right undone. And now I have a group of 3 that's already put together that I can set aside for another project. And I have these 3 that I'm just quickly going to kind of line up at the top. I want all 3 strands to go through my needle at the same time. And I use the spit method. You know, if that seems unclean to you, you might want to just have a little bit of water. But if you get these a little wet and put them together, they will go through your needle better. And this, folks, is why I was going to thread ahead of time. But I wanted to show you the separation of the threads because so many people have asked me about that. Hang on. I knew if I tried to thread on camera, I wouldn't be able to get it done. I brought my glasses and everything. Okay, haha. There we go. Now, because I know that I am going to glue this on top of this, and nobody is ever going to see the back of this, I'm just going to put a piece of tape on it. So I'm going to come in through an outside hole. Pick a hole, any hole, an outside hole. I'm going to pull, 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 leave this tiny little tail. Guys, what I do is I take a piece of Scotch tape, and you can use whatever tape you want. If you've got something fancier, I take a piece of Scotch tape about that big, pull it off, cut it into thirds. I've got a little on my, oh, where did it go? Okay, anyway, I stick it right here on the side of my tape dispenser, and then it is ready for me to pull off whenever I need it. So I am going to just tape this down with a little tiny piece of that tape. I am trying to be conscious about not showing the tape through the holes, okay? Because if the tape shows through the holes, then my shiny gold paper that I have underneath isn't going to show as well. Now, y'all, this is going to go quickly. If you already know how to do it and you don't want to watch, skip to the end. But I'm just coming up through an outside hole, down through the inside, up through the outside, and down through the inside. And the reason I'm doing it this way is, to me, it gives that center hole a neater finish. By the time I get halfway around this circle, that center hole is going to start filling up. So if I'm coming up through the center and going to the outside each time instead of what I'm doing, then I start to pick at that thread and pull at it a little bit and tear little bits, and it gets frizzy and has this look that I don't want. So to me, this is a much neater look. And again, look how quickly it's going. We've just been sitting here talking for a minute, and I am more than halfway done. Okay, and that arm length of, and I'm a short person, so if you're a very tall person with long arms, you might use a little bit less, but that arm length is just about what I need here. I think I'm going to be able to get away with finishing this without having to thread. And y'all, if I had to thread it again, like if I just didn't have enough thread to get that last hole done, all I would do is turn it over and tape it. And then I would get another piece of tape and add on. But I am going to make it here. And that happens to me all the time. Okay, especially if I'm doing a bigger project. This is a very teeny tiny project. There are many that are bigger that require more thread. All right, and I just am going to pull this a little taut. I don't want to be crazy about it because it's paper and it'll rip. And I'm just adding this tape down onto the top of it. All right, I'm going to pull out my needle, stick it in my shirt so I don't drop it. I'll put it away properly. I've got a cute little needle case. I'll put it away properly in a little bit. And there you have it. All right, so now your trick is gluing it down. And a lot of people, my gut instinct the first time was like, oh, I want to just glue along this outside. But this has height to it. And the outside doesn't really touch. Okay? You can make it touch by flattening it under some heavy books or whatever, but it doesn't naturally touch. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go around the outside a little bit because I am going to squish it under a heavy book in a minute. And I am also going to go on top of the thread and on top of the tape because this is the part that's actually going to have the most contact with that gold paper. And I want it to stick. Okay. So here we go. I'm adding that. And I want to decide where I want to make my top. Do I want to make my top that yellowy part? I think I do. I think I want more of the darker green showing since the cardstock is already yellow. And this is just my personal opinion. If you wanted that yellow showing there at the bottom, that would have been fine too. But I'm going to hide that yellowy green. Well, not hide it, but get it where less of it's showing. I'm going to hide that yellowy green and put that together. Okay, so I'm going to stick this underneath. Oh, nope, I just pulled it apart again. All right, stick this under, and we're going to take a look at these real quick that we've already done, and then we'll come back and look at this, talk about a couple more options, and then move on. So this is the very first one we did. It's all set now. It just needs a hook, and it's ready to go on the Christmas tree. Nothing, okay? We didn't do anything except glue it on top of a shiny piece of paper and add the ornament topper. All right, this one, we drew on the thread with our gold gel pen. This one, we used diamond dots and sequins on the gold background. And this one, we pretended we didn't have any more gold backgrounds. So we just offset this dark purple underneath the pink, added the berries, or not the berries, they look like berries. Added the diamond dots around and the sequins in the middle to go with the ornament topper. And then here, we have the actual stitching with the variegated thread because I didn't want that plain yellow on top of the plain gold with no additional color. All right, now here I could go bananas too. I could also add a sequins in the middle. I could also add diamond dots around the outside. I could just keep going and going and going and do whatever I want, but I am going to stop. I think I'm almost out of filming time. So it was nice working with you guys today. Hope you found something you like, and good luck with your projects. Bye.